Hey everybody, thank you so much for staying all the way till back. I'm also right before a fantastic performance, so I'll keep it short. I just want to know who I'm talking to. How many of you are in like your year zero of starting up? You're still thinking of an idea? Okay. Year one, year two, year three, year four, year five, and beyond? Okay, great. Some people didn't raise their hands up, so I'm assuming you're here to quit your job. Okay, get some inspiration to quit your job. Awesome. Yes. So I think a lot of stories which I heard today, which are really similar to I think all the tipping points even I've had. And thank you so much, for letting me speak on my journey as the core focus area. Thank you, firstly, Priyanka, for having me. I think she's been super helpful in my journey. And whenever she calls me, I'm always there. And thank you for the team to give me a very fancy title. If I can be very honest with you, I had to Google Tenacity just to be sure what it means. How I describe this, I'm going to talk about how not to give up when it really feels like you should. To kind of start with, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do. I run IndieFolio. We are India's largest network of design and video experts. So we are home to 80,000 independent professionals, a lot of them are women, and hundreds of studio founders. And we essentially help a lot of companies get access to the top talent out here. A lot of fantastic startups. If you guys need anything for your go-to-market, for your creative, you know who to call now. But it all started, I think, any which ways we do a lot of work across UX, UI, animation, social media, as well as, a lot of Gen AI today. But this all started actually way back, when I was when I was 13 or 14 years old. Thank you. And if you just peeked into my life that time, you would see that I was spending an absurd amount of time on YouTube. Like, I was obsessed with it. I was so shocked that you can learn anything for free from experts. And one thing I really got obsessed with was Photoshop. And I kept on learning Photoshop like crazy. The first thing I did is started, making a lot of edits of myself and putting them on Facebook back then. Please don't judge my skills viewing this. And people ask me, how is it that you actually got the motivation to spend so many hours learning software when you were when you were 13 or 14 years old? And I'm going to take the risk of saying this. I'm in front of a lot of women and also my wife. Was honestly women. I realized that girls in my school loved to take a photo with me because I'd edit something and send it back to them, which they could upload it, and that was my hack. So that fueled my initial motivation, but I started getting really good at this. The more and more I did. From 2D, I learned 3D. From 3D, I learned a lot of UX, UI. I think I really became cool in my school, because of design. That gave me the confidence to actually kind of put myself more out there. And I even became the deputy head boy, in my school, which got me to actually launch and co-found the first thing in my life, which was my school fest called Milan's Total 5. It's in its 15th year now. It's crazy. It's, I think, some 20,000 people have participated so far. Something, me and my batchmates started, I think, a long time ago. But what happened because of those events, right, is I started making videos for these, festivals we were creating. And a lot of sponsors came to the organizers and even me saying, "Yaar, ye video kaun bana raha hai?" And these sponsors were brands. So I remember, there was one very large brand. It's also, I believe, part of the Tata group. And they came in, they asked me to, actually tell them, "Hey, you make videos, how much do you charge?" And that was the first tipping point of my life. I was like, somebody will pay me to just do what I'm doing? Like, that's incredible. And I remember, they asked me, "Kitna lega?" And I was like, 40,000 rupees. And they were like, "Okay, that sounds good." First client, no negotiation. What a bad way to start, actually, operating in India. But 40K, in retrospect, they got a great deal. But I was the happiest person back then. So, I was told to give takeaways. So I have 3 takeaways for my 3 tipping points. Okay, number 1. I really feel that, learning driven by interest and not obligation is the best way to upskill. I really believe what Funsuk Wangadu said, right, which is chase excellence. But how do you really become excellent at something? A lot of times, at least people around me tell me, do an MBA, go to a great college. And I personally don't feel that's the best way to learn. You pay top dollar there and you work hard to get into those organizations because you get a great community. You learn from the best and you actually are able to network with the best. But other than that, learning like that doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm a dropout, so I have very strong contrarian opinions. Just ask yourself, right? Like for 10 years, you went and learned on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. what's the powerhouse of the cell, for example. Nothing went in your brain. Actually, the times when you got curious about something, immerse yourself into that for those next 10 hours. Research yourself and you couldn't get something done. That's the best learning you've ever had, in my opinion. So the biggest takeaway is just do something. I wanted to kind of get a lot of phone numbers and WhatsApp numbers of women, and that's how I started learning Photoshop. And I think then that's kind of been a huge journey. So you never know, don't have an end goal, just start learning something. Next up, I learned something now. I made some money. And this is me actually doing one of my first client pitches. This was Kavan, and if you had gone to my LinkedIn back then, I was the founder and creative director of this Visual Violet Studios. I also signed up on Upwork and Fiverr, and nobody knew that actually working with a kid with a laptop. But this was, my demo reel back then. Show reels were a big thing. I think they're still a pretty decent thing. And this was my demo reel about, when I was, I think, 14 or 15 years old. I started learning 3D. I started working with a lot of CPG brands. I was doing pretty well. I made like a lot of money. I bought my own PlayStation. I bought my own phone. I was known to be the guy who gives his girls like the best gifts. So, I was the king of the world according to me. And I was about to turn 18, I think, in 2015. And, that's when, I was like, okay, what do I really do next? And I realized I want to be a freelancer all my life. I think this is the best job ever. And that's when, stuff started happening around me. My friends, my relatives, my teachers were all like, why are you, freelancing? Like, this is not a serious profession. I was told that I'm very smart and freelancing is actually beneath me. And then I was told that the reason behind this is freelancers are actually people you can't trust. They are scammers. They work part-time. They do side gigs. I was, as I said, a little arrogant back then, as you can imagine. 17 years old, making a lot of money. And I was like, busk, screw you guys. I do not care about what you folks say. Thank God I thought that way. And just to kind of, challenge the status quo, decided to kind of create a platform to get all freelancers together, saying that, we don't have a bad reputation. They're actually really bloody good. And that's what, led to the platform. So I met my co-founder, Shashank, while I was in the Road Track Club. I essentially launched Banana Bandy. The game behind Banana was pretty funny. Why Banana Bandy? It came from banana as in kuch banana hai. And Bandy as an exchange, so create an exchange. That was the first name we started under. And I thought it was a genius idea combining these two things. We then were like, okay, what to do now? We have a platform. We've built something out. Both Shashank and I were lucky that our parents were like, cool, do something. Here is some frugal money for you to, build. Because we are not coders. We had to kind of get something developed. So this was actually my go-to-market back then. I did not know what go-to-market means. And I was like, yaar, users kaise leke aaye? It's too expensive to spend money on Facebook ads. Turns out you can just DM people for free. And me and my co-founder, for the first entire year, just did DMs on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Dribble, and on Behance. You know how many people we DM'd? 35,000 people in the first year. And mind you, right, this sounds like a mammoth task. It was about 2 hours a day. Because both Shashank, he's a brilliant guy. He had a bunch of internships. He was older to me. I was still doing IndieFolio, was still doing my, freelancing. Plus, I had college to go every day. Or at least I had Road Track Club to do every day, which was another ball game altogether. And we got our first 8,000 users by just DMing 35,000 people, that actually helped us raise our first check by some very smart angels who put in money into our company. We got covered by Your Story. And again, this was like all incredible. Once we raised some money, right, we realized, okay, now, we are not just a project. We're actually a company. We hired more people as well. And that's the first 5 people in our team about almost a decade ago. And that's my takeaway number 2, right? This was a tipping point, raising funding, registering a company. I feel, whenever I ask people, ki, yaar, 0 to 1, how did you do it? And why did you fail, right? Most people say, ki, yaar, nobody wants my product, or nobody is really telling me, good things about it. I ask them, how many people did you ask? How many people did you actually go to? They'll say 50, 80, अरे बहुत लोग यार 100 लोगों को मैंने message किया. I mean, like, in how much time? They say, in the last 8 months, I probably have spoken to 100 people. And I was like, those are rookie numbers. That's what happens. People don't realize how much energy and effort it takes to really, make a dead company alive. That's what you're doing in your year one. You're a dead company. You start dead. Nobody knows you, cares for your product. Who cares? There's a competition. You have to really make the company, come to life. And you need vigor for that. So, just ensure that you speak to hundreds of people, folks. If you're in your first and second year, it is extremely important. Then comes the next thing. We got sued in the 3 months after we raised funding. Because apparently there's an agency who had the trademark on the word banana. And isn't that absurd? My dad's a pretty big lawyer, and he works in a huge law firm. And they all advised me, as lawyers do, saying, play it safe, naam badal do. I was like, very nice. So we changed the name to IndieFolio, which is what it is today. And an interesting fact here is, when I booked Banana Bandy, I'd also booked IndieFolio.com on GoDaddy, just because I loved the name, at the same time. So yeah, serendipity exists. And IndieFolio stands for Independent Portfolios, by the way. But yeah, so this was nothing, right? I was like first 18 months, already a lawsuit. Nothing's gonna get worse. And I was so wrong, because I'll tell you the biggest problem, was that 8,000 people signed up on our platform. Turns out, freelancers actually suck quite a lot. I was feeling so guilty, and I was having such a face palm moment. I was like, people have signed up, clients are hiring, they are not showing up for calls, they are making commitments, they are not delivering. And I was like, why are freelancers doing this? And I was so absolutely wrong about this thesis that, everybody's probably like me, everybody understands sales and servicing like I did. But turns out the best people with the best work actually, were not the best people to rely on. And that's why we, kind of pivoted slightly. We had an idea that we'll curate everybody on the platform. So if you're looking for something, tell us what you're looking for. We'll curate the right people. And that was interesting. We started, growing, started getting more clients, because now, projects weren't failing. And we grew our team, more and more. We started onboarding some clients and startups mainly, who were coming us to for ad hoc projects. We started doing some interesting work here and there from graphic, UI, UX, etc. A lot of decks and a lot of PPTs, a lot of boring work actually. But we were enjoying, because freelancers were actually quitting their jobs to join IndieFolio full time as independent talent, and making a decent chunk of money. But then we also came into another problem, which was paisa to actually India mein creative with big enterprises, And if you keep on sticking to startups, it's not a very scalable business if you want to grow fast. Big companies thought you were very risky. We were like, you are freelancers, you guys are not taking accountability. Our agency though comes to our office and sits next to us and gets the job done. And we realized that is who we are competing with in India. It's not a Fiverr, it's not an Upwork, it's not any of those platforms. It's like a agency who is actually taking money off the table. And that's where we came up with a very interesting model, which is what we do today. This is a very complicated way to say that IndieFolio today is if there was a baby between an agency and a talent marketplace, where you get the variety of the talent marketplace, great amount of skills, great amount of price points, but also the assurance of an agency where you can hold one neck to get all your creative work done. And that's actually where we kind of blew up. We started doing, we started hiring more and more people. We started building amazing apps, amazing, marketing collaterals, amazing reels for some of the biggest and the coolest brands out there, like Domino's and, Carlsberg and all the others ones you saw. We actually even survived COVID. I hate to say this, but COVID was a boon for us. I had to sit and convince people, one of our clients is also right here, Priyanka, that you can work with people remotely, you can trust them, trust me. But nobody really believed us. The world changed literally overnight for us, and those same companies were hounding us saying, hey, you have freelancers, right? We really need you. And yeah, we kind of grew a lot. By the way, just a shout out, IndieFolio is, by the way, 70% women, all in-house. It was not really something we wanted to do, it just happened. So that says something, that's great. But yeah, so we continue to do more work now, large projects, large mandates, from a Carlsberg to an Air India to, also working with the Tata Group, super excited to also have them on board now, and doing a lot of incredible work. Today we do close to 2,000 projects a year, and we are able to give out about 50 crores in earnings to our freelance community. My biggest metric, however, is that they're able to, so many people have come to me saying, I left my full-time job just because of IndieFolio, and I would have never been able to do that. Thank you so much. So that was, I think all cool things. I think not bad for somebody who started with a portfolio like this, right? To kind of land somewhere here. So lastly, also, super excited to, okay, I think it's not loading. But here I was about to say that I also got into the Forbes list last year. Thank you so much. Forbes Asia 30 under 30 under marketing and advertising, which kind of came full circle because I had spent 8 years applying to it and never got in. But I think the numbers, the metrics, just kind of forced them to now put me in the list. But coming to my last takeaway, right, is all this sounds fancy and cool. This is what you'll probably read on my LinkedIn or on my, PR or whatever, you hear. But I want to really talk about what actually goes under the carpet, right? And how that essentially looks like. So we actually went through 9 pivots at IndieFolio, 9 pivots. And if you want to really hear and know about resilience, like, it's a great video. I would love to give a shout out to GrowthX. It's linked on my LinkedIn. I know we don't have enough time, but I walk you through each of my pivots. In a nutshell, we built a platform, where we thought people will essentially get hired, realize that there's so many issues with not just matchmaking, but actually getting the work done. Because of COVID, we had to go ahead and, start, shutting down our entire events business, which is a big thing for us, and so many more things. But finally, we land here as a completely remote company, helping, thousands of freelancers and, hundreds of agency founders work with a lot of brands. But yeah, my takeaway, right? This is, I think, what I learned the most. I don't know if you folks know about something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Does anybody know here? It essentially says that people who are not very skilled, aka, people who have a lot of opinions, idiots basically, they always overestimate their skills, but underestimate the task at hand. While geniuses always underestimate themselves a lot. So what happens actually when you're starting a company, right, is you start with high confidence, but very minimal knowledge. And that's why you're at the peak of your enthusiasm. This is where I was, right, thinking, are freelancers, man, like, what you're not understanding, I'm going to get all freelancers in one place. And the moment you start the business is when you realize, okay, this is why these big brands who spend billions of dollars on creative say they do not trust anybody other than an agency, right? And this is where 90% of the people get stuck. This is your first 3 years, right? If you get to here only, that's great. 90% people die there. Of those 90% people, 90% die here. Because they can never get out of the valley of despair. So how do you really make the jump from enthusiasm and despair to something called enlightenment, right? According to me, it's essentially just mindset. And I would love to share some mindsets with you which have helped me, over the last 11 years of running IndieFolio. Number 1 is be impatient with your actions, but patient with your outcomes. Most people think of the opposite here. They do something, they expect something immediate to come out, and then they give up, right? That's where you are not able to really push through and get out of that valley of despair. You have to understand that as a young company, all you can do is something. Do something. Just don't do nothing. If you do something every day, you never know how it's going to help you out, right? Priyanka and I actually randomly connected online or on an email. She was so sweet to come to one of our first events. We kept in touch. Years down the line, they became customers, and years down the line, we are here together. So you have to be patient. You don't really chase ROI on every activity in the start. Next, as an entrepreneur, you feel you want to change the world. And I've realized that actually, smart people try to change the world, but wise people change themselves. And the people who are wise are the ones with tenacity and are the ones who really will grow a lot more. So I really believe that, this is a great way for you to be a great leader in your team. Don't try to change your team. Don't try to change your customer. Understand where they're coming from and change yourself. You'll find a lot more success. And, lastly, I think, how do you change yourself? However, there's a whole paradox of life, right? The only way you can change yourself is to actually accept who you are. And the moment you accept who you are is when you actually are able to change. We thought we want to raise VC capital. We wanted to become a billion-dollar company. We wanted to do 10 other things. We couldn't do it. Was I upset? Yes. Are there other companies, who in the last 11 years have gone from 0 to 10 billion? Yes. But at the end of the day, the problem I was trying to solve is put more money in the hands of, creative people, more freelancers in India. And we are still able to do that. I think we are one of the few companies in India who are actually doing this at scale. So I'm still very excited. And the moment we accepted that, we told ourselves, okay, you need to do a service first motion. You need to be managed marketplace. You need account managers. You need to do that, Kavan. And that's where, the real change happened. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much, folks. It was a pleasure having. Thank you.
Adi Lakshmi.